The large alien ship hung in Earth's orbit like a gleaming silver disk. It had arrived 3 days ago, and the whole world was still holding its breath. Jack Morris straightened his navy blue uniform and glanced at Lisa Green, who stood beside him on the landing pad. They were Earth's chosen representatives for this historic meeting. "Ready?" Jack asked. His voice was calm, but his hands were slightly shaking. Lisa nodded. She was a diplomat with 15 years of experience, but nothing had prepared her for first contact with aliens. "As ready as I'll ever be." The ship's bottom section opened, and a ramp extended down to touch the concrete landing pad. 3 tall, thin aliens walked down slowly. They had pale blue skin and large eyes that blinked sideways. Their movements were graceful but careful, as if Earth's gravity was uncomfortable for them. The tallest alien stepped forward. "I am High Commander Zrixel of the Galactic Confederation. We greet you, humans of Earth." Jack stepped forward and offered the practiced greeting. "On behalf of the United Planetary Government of Earth, we welcome you to our world." The aliens looked at each other, their expressions hard to read. Later, humans would learn this was the first sign of their confusion. Inside the meeting room, Lisa explained Earth's history and culture while the aliens listened. They seemed most interested when she mentioned Earth's classification as a death world due to its high gravity, extreme weather, and diverse ecosystem. "Your species evolved on this harsh planet?" asked Zrixel, blinking rapidly. "Yet you appear so fragile." Jack smiled politely. "Appearances can be deceiving, High Commander." The aliens didn't understand what he meant. This misunderstanding would cost many lives. Over the next few weeks, humans and aliens exchanged knowledge and technology. The Confederation invited Earth to join their alliance of 27 species from across the galaxy. They seemed friendly and helpful, offering advanced technology and medicine. But not everyone trusted them. Admiral Susan Clark noticed how the aliens flinched when humans moved too quickly or spoke too loudly. She saw their surprise when human engineers easily adapted their technology. "They're afraid of us," she told the president during a private meeting. "But they're hiding it." "Why would advanced aliens fear humans?" the president asked. "Because we're stronger than we look," Susan replied. "They come from low-gravity worlds. To them, we're monsters who can endure conditions they find deadly." The president frowned. "But they have superior technology and weapons." "For now," Susan said quietly. The situation changed when humans established their first off-world colony on Mars. The Confederation offered to help build a second colony on a distant planet they called Harmony. 5,000 human colonists traveled to this new world, excited to start a new life. 6 months later, the messages from New Hope Colony became strange. They reported supervision from Confederation officials, then food and water restrictions, then silence. Jack and Lisa demanded answers from the alien representatives. The meeting was tense. "Your colonists are safe," said Zrixel, "but they require guidance. Humans are unpredictable and potentially dangerous." "You're holding our people hostage," Lisa said, her voice cold. Zrixel's skin changed to a darker blue. "Not hostage. Protected. Studied. Your species evolved on a world that would kill most intelligent life. You're stronger and more resilient than you should be. The Confederation must understand the threat you might pose." "We've been nothing but peaceful," Jack argued. "Yes," said another alien named Frigga. "So peaceful that we wondered if our scans were wrong. But we've seen your historical records, your wars, your weapons. A truly peaceful species doesn't need to try so hard to appear harmless." That night, Jack sent an urgent message to Earth. "They've misjudged us completely. They think our diplomacy is a mask hiding savage Deathworlders. They're treating politeness as weakness." The president called an emergency meeting of the United Planetary Government. After 12 hours of debate, they sent one message to the Confederation: "Return our colonists immediately, or we will stop being nice." The aliens laughed when they received it. They didn't understand the warning. They would learn soon enough. Admiral Susan Clark stared at the video screen showing New Hope Colony. The once busy streets were nearly empty. The few colonists visible moved slowly under the watchful eyes of blue-skinned Confederation guards. Susan's fists tightened as she watched a human child being pushed back when he ran too fast. "This is all we can get from our hidden cameras," said Lieutenant Commander Peter Ross. He was young but smart, with sharp eyes that missed nothing. The Confederation blocked all official communications 3 days ago. Susan nodded. "What about the experiments?" Peter's face darkened. He touched the screen, switching to new footage. The images showed humans in white rooms, connected to strange machines. Some were running on treadmills while aliens took notes. Others lifted heavy weights while their muscles were scanned. "They're testing our physical limits," Peter explained. "Testing how much we can endure compared to their species. And the prisoners don't look willing." Susan noted. "They're not. These are the colonists who resisted when the Confederation started limiting their food and water. The aliens call it scientific observation of Deathworld adaptations." Susan's communicator buzzed. It was a message from Earth's United Planetary Government. She read it quickly, her expression grim. "The President sent a final warning to the Confederation," she told Peter. "They responded by saying they need more time to evaluate human compatibility with galactic society." "That's just an excuse to keep studying us," Peter said. Susan nodded. "The President thinks so too." At that moment, on the other side of the planet Harmony, Lisa Green was trying to negotiate with the local Confederation commander. The alien was not from the same species as Rixel. This one was called a Grickler, a tall, reptilian creature with rough, green scales and yellow eyes with narrow slits. "Commander Vextra, these restrictions on the colony are unacceptable," Lisa said firmly. "The people need more water and food, and the experiments must stop immediately." The Grickler's tongue flicked out, tasting the air. "Your species requires less than you claim. Our studies show humans can survive on half these rations. Your bodies store water and nutrients very efficiently. An impressive adaptation to your harsh homeworld. That doesn't give you the right to test our limits," Lisa argued. Vextra made a sound like stones grinding together. A Grickler laugh. "You humans are amusing. You pretend to be civilized, but you come from a planet that would kill most of us in minutes. You're predators playing at being prey." "We're not pretending anything," Lisa said coldly. "We chose peace and cooperation." "A temporary choice, no doubt," Vextra replied. "The Confederation must understand what happens when Deathworlders stop being." "What's your word?" "Nice." On Earth, Jack Morris walked into the Pentagon's main conference room. Military leaders from around the world sat around a large table, their faces serious. At the head of the table was General Olivia Martinez, her gray hair cut short, her eyes sharp and clear. "The situation has worsened," Jack reported. "The Confederation is now calling humans an unpredictable variable in their reports. They've increased their ships around Earth from 3 to 12. "And our people on New Hope Colony?" asked General Martinez. Jack's voice tightened. "Some are being used for experiments. The rest are under strict control. The Confederation says it's for their safety, but it's really because they fear what humans might do." Captain John Reeves stood up. He was in charge of intelligence gathering, and his team had been monitoring all communications from the colony. "We've intercepted this footage," he said, activating a screen on the wall. The video showed human children being separated from their parents. The children were placed in a room with various obstacles and challenges, while aliens observed them through glass walls. "They're testing how our children adapt to problems," John explained, "seeing how early our Deathworld traits develop." The room was silent as they watched. Then General Martinez stood up slowly. Her voice was quiet, but filled with steel. "We've been nice," she said. "Diplomatic. Patient. That ends today." Around the table, heads nodded in agreement. "Prepare Protocol Thunderstorm," Martinez ordered. It's time to show the Confederation exactly what Deathworlders can do. The emergency council room was silent except for the soft hum of air filters. 12 men and women sat around the oval table, each representing different branches of Earth's military. Their faces were grim as they watched the final pieces of evidence from New Hope Colony. General Olivia Martinez stood at the head of the table. She had fought in 3 wars and had seen the worst of humanity. But what the Confederation was doing to human colonists made her blood boil. "You've all seen the reports," she said. "Any questions before we vote?" A man with a weathered face raised his hand. He was Admiral Bill Hudson, commander of Earth's space fleet. "Do we understand what we're about to do?" he asked. "The Confederation has technology we've only begun to comprehend. They have ships that can cross the galaxy in weeks. They have weapons that could destroy our cities from orbit." Martinez nodded. "Yes, and they have never faced humans who aren't holding back." Captain John Reeves activated a display showing a young human girl lifting a metal bar that would be heavy even for an adult. Her face was strained, and tears ran down her cheeks as Confederation scientists observed. "They're pushing our children to physical breaking points," John said, "testing how much Deathworlders can endure." Lieutenant Kate Wu, head of Special Operations, spoke next. "Our spies report that the Confederation is genuinely confused by us. They evolved on planets with low gravity, mild weather, and few predators. To them, Earth is a nightmare world. They can't understand how we survived, let alone built a civilization. And that's why they're afraid," added Jack Morris. "They think our politeness is hiding something dangerous." Olivia Martinez walked slowly around the table. "They're right to be afraid," she said, her voice low and steady. "Humanity has faced countless disasters, wars, and challenges. We've looked extinction in the face many times and survived. We chose peace when we met the Confederation. We chose diplomacy. We chose to be nice." She stopped walking and placed both hands on the table. "They mistook our kindness for weakness, our diplomacy for fear, our self-control for lack of power." Her eyes moved from face to face around the table. "I say it's time to show them the truth about humans." The room was silent for a long moment. Then Peter Ross spoke up. "What about the colonists? Any action we take might put them in more danger." Susan Clark answered him. "We have people on the inside. They've been preparing quietly for weeks. When we move, they'll move too." Olivia Martinez looked at the large screen on the wall. It showed the locations of all known Confederation ships and bases, hundreds of glowing dots spread across the galaxy map. "Protocol Thunderstorm is designed for exactly this situation," she explained. "A coordinated strike across multiple systems, targeting communications first, then command centers, then military assets. Every human ship, soldier, and agent will move simultaneously." "The Confederation thinks they know what humans are capable of," Jack added. "They've only seen what we've allowed them to see." Lisa Green, who had been quiet until now, finally spoke. "I've spent months trying to reason with them. They believe we're hiding our true nature. Perhaps it's time to show them they were right." Olivia Martinez returned to the head of the table. Her face was calm, but her eyes burned with determination. "I ask for your vote," she said. "Do we authorize Protocol Thunderstorm? Do we show the galaxy what happens when humans stop being nice?" One by one, they voted. The decision was unanimous. Martinez picked up a secure communication device. "This is General Martinez. Authorization code Delta 74 Omega. Initiate Protocol Thunderstorm. Effective immediately." Across Earth's military bases, in orbit, and on distant planets, humans received the message. Years of training and preparation were about to pay off. On ships throughout the galaxy, human captains gave the same order. Go dark. Prepare for combat operations. The Confederation noticed something was wrong when 23 human ships simultaneously disappeared from their tracking systems. By then, it was already too late. The U.S. Defiant drifted silently through space, its engines cold, its systems running on minimal power. From the outside, it looked dead. Inside, Captain Ryan Klein and his crew moved with quiet purpose. "Status report," Ryan whispered, though there was no need to be quiet in space. "We're approaching the Confederation Communications Hub," said Lieutenant Sam Hayes, the pilot. "Their sensors haven't detected us." "Good," Ryan nodded. "And the other teams?" "All in position," confirmed Communications Officer Diane Kelly. "Waiting for your signal." The Confederation's main communications hub was a massive space station orbiting a small moon. From this station, the aliens controlled all faster-than-light communications for 12 star systems. It was heavily defended by patrol ships and automated weapons. Or at least, it was supposed to be. "Their patrol routes have gaps," Lieutenant Kate Wu said, pointing at the tactical display. 17-second windows where their sensors don't overlap. "Can we slip through?" Ryan asked. Kate smiled. "They designed their security to stop Confederation ships. We're smaller, faster, and more heat-resistant. They didn't account for Deathworlders." The Defiant slipped through the first gap, then the second. The communications hub grew larger in their view screens. No alarms sounded. No weapons fired. "Docking in 30 seconds, Sam announced. "Still undetected." Ryan stood up. "Boarding team, prepare for deployment." Kate and 5 other soldiers checked their gear one last time. They wore special suits designed for this mission. Light armor that allowed their natural human strength and speed to be used to full advantage. "Remember," Ryan told them, "most Confederation species evolved on low-gravity worlds. In their normal gravity, you'll be stronger and faster than they expect. Use that." The ship connected with an emergency airlock on the station's maintenance level. Kate led her team through the narrow passage. Inside the station, the gravity was set to Confederation standard, about 70% of Earth's gravity. The humans felt lighter, almost bouncy. "It's like walking on the moon," whispered Corporal Ben Jackson. "Stay focused," Kate reminded him. They moved through dimly lit corridors, avoiding the main hallways. Their mission was simple but critical: disable the communications hub without alerting the Confederation that humans were responsible. The first aliens they encountered were 2 engineers checking a power relay. The blue-skinned aliens turned in surprise as the humans appeared. "Security breach," one began to say into his communicator. Kate moved faster than the alien could follow. In the lighter gravity, her earthborn muscles propelled her across the room in a single bound. She struck with precisely calculated force, enough to knock the alien unconscious without causing permanent damage. Ben took down the second alien just as quickly. "They really are fragile," he said with surprise. "Not fragile," Kate corrected. "Just adapted to different conditions." They reached the main control room 10 minutes later. 8 Confederation technicians operated the complex equipment that managed communications across the sector. Kate's team burst into the room. The aliens reached for alarm buttons and weapons, but they moved too slowly in human eyes. Within seconds, all 8 were restrained. What are you?" asked one alien, his eyes wide with fear. "Humans," Kate said simply. "But humans are diplomatic," the alien said. "Peaceful." "We tried that," Ben told him. "You took it as weakness." Kate connected a small device to the main console. It began downloading control protocols and security codes. "Captain, we have what we need," she reported over her secure communicator. Proceeding to Phase 2. Throughout the station, other human teams were quietly taking control of key systems. No alarms had been triggered. The Confederation still didn't know what was happening. Across the galaxy, similar scenes played out as human ships and operatives struck at Confederation targets. Communication centers, defense platforms, and command ships were all hit simultaneously. On the Confederation homeworld, High Commander Zrixel received an urgent message. The communications network was experiencing technical difficulties. Then the message cut off. Then another reported a security breach. Then another. Then silence fell across the Confederation's vast network as humans took control. For the first time, Drixel felt something he had never expected to feel when dealing with humans. Supreme Commander Zelvix paced the command deck of his flagship, the Eternal Harmony. His blue skin had turned almost gray with stress. Reports of communication failures were coming in from every sector. "How is this possible?" he demanded. "How could so many systems fail at once?" "Unknown," Supreme Commander said, his second-in-command. "We've lost contact with 37 major hubs. Backup systems are not responding." Zelvix struck his fist against the control panel. "It must be the humans. They warned us they would stop being nice. But their technology is primitive compared to ours," argued another officer. "They couldn't possibly." A loud alarm cut him off. The main view screen showed a fleet of human ships appearing seemingly out of nowhere, dropping out of stealth mode as they approached the Confederation defense line. "Battle stations," Zelvix ordered. "All ships, open fire." The Confederation fleet was massive. Over 200 warships arranged in a defensive formation. They fired energy weapons that could melt through standard hull materials like butter. But the human ships didn't explode or retreat. "Sir, our weapons are having minimal effect," reported a weapons officer. "The humans appear to have modified their shields using our own technology." Zelvix stared in disbelief. "Impossible. We never shared weapons technology with them." "They must have reverse-engineered it from the little we did share," his second said quietly. "These Deathworlders are more clever than we thought." Meanwhile, on the colony world of New Hope, Colonel Frank Harper and his ground forces had landed under cover of darkness. They moved silently through the forest surrounding the main settlement, their bodies low to the ground, their movements precise. Frank had trained his soldiers for years for this moment. They knew how to use their natural human advantages, endurance, adaptability, and raw strength, against the physically weaker Confederation species. "First team in position," came a whispered report over his comm unit. "Second team ready," said another voice. Frank checked his weapon. A simple projectile gun. The Confederation relied on energy weapons, but human testing had shown that old-fashioned bullets were more effective against their thin body armor. "Begin Operation Homecoming," Frank ordered. Across the colony, human soldiers moved in perfect coordination. The Confederation guards never saw them coming. Silent takedowns, precise shots, and quick movements left the alien forces in disarray. Inside the colony's main building, Lisa Green was with the captured colonists when she heard the first sounds of fighting. "It's starting," she told the men and women gathered around her. For weeks, she had been secretly preparing them, explaining the plan in whispers, organizing them into teams. "Everyone remember what to do?" she asked. They nodded. These weren't just civilians anymore. They were survivors who had endured the Confederation's tests and observations. They were angry, and they were ready. When Frank's team breached the main door, they found the colonists already in motion. Men and women who the Confederation thought were broken had fashioned weapons from everyday items. They moved with purpose, securing areas and tending to the wounded. "Lisa," Frank called, spotting her organizing a group of colonists. "Right on time, Colonel," she said with a grim smile. "We've secured the East Wing." Frank nodded in approval. "Any resistance?" "The guards weren't expecting us to fight back," Lisa explained. "They thought humans were docile, without weapons." In orbit above the planet, Confederation ships were facing a similar surprise. The human vessels moved in ways that defied standard space combat tactics. They accelerated and changed direction at speeds that would have killed most Confederation species. Commander Nicole Bennett led the space battle from her ship, the Swift Justice. "Continue evasive pattern Delta," she ordered. "Use the maneuvers we practiced in Earth's atmosphere." Her pilots executed tight turns and spins that no Confederation pilot could match. Their bodies, evolved on a high-gravity world, could withstand forces that would render their enemies unconscious. One by one, Confederation ships were disabled or forced to retreat. On the Eternal Harmony, Supreme Commander Zelvix watched in horror as his fleet was systematically taken apart by a numerically inferior force. "They move like predators," he whispered. "All this time, we thought they were prey." His communications officer turned to him with fear in his eyes. "Sir, we're receiving reports from 17 other systems. The humans are everywhere, and they're winning." The Arcturus system blazed with weapons fire as the largest space battle in galactic history unfolded. Human ships darted between the much larger Confederation vessels like wolves among cattle. Commander Nicole Bennett watched from the bridge of her flagship as her plan came together. "Squad 3, execute diving run," she ordered. "Squad 5, prepare for the hammer maneuver." Her pilots responded instantly. 3 small, fast ships plunged toward the Confederation's defensive line, drawing their fire. Then, as the alien gunners focused on these targets, 5 larger human vessels swung around from behind Arcturus's third moon. "They still think in 2 dimensions," Nicole said to her second-in-command. "Even in space, they fight like they're on the ground." The human ships moved in 3-dimensional patterns that confused the Confederation targeting systems. These were maneuvers developed in Earth's deep oceans and dense atmospheres, now applied to the freedom of space. On the main Confederation command ship, Admiral Krex watched in growing horror. "How are they doing this?" he demanded. "Their acceleration should kill them." His tactical officer, a scientist who had studied humans, spoke quietly. "Their bodies evolved under crushing gravity, Admiral. Their bones are like steel to us. Their muscles like industrial cables. What would kill us merely inconveniences them." Krex slammed his fist down. "Then send in the drones. They don't have biological limitations." Hundreds of automated Confederation drones launched toward the human fleet. These were the pride of alien technology, fast, deadly, and without fear. Nicole smiled when she saw them coming. "Right on schedule. Dr. Carter, you're up." Dr. Alan Carter nodded from his station. He was not a military man, but a scientist who had spent months studying captured Confederation technology. "Activating system now," he said, pressing the sequence of controls. A wave of invisible energy pulsed from the human ships. The Confederation drones suddenly stopped, their systems confused by the signal. "What did you do?" Nicole asked, impressed. Alan smiled. "I noticed their drones all used the same base code. I simply sent them contradictory instructions in their native programming language. They're frozen while trying to resolve the conflict." Across the system, human ships pressed their advantage. The Confederation fleet, for all its size and power, was being systematically taken apart by a smaller but more adaptable force. Meanwhile, back on Earth, General Olivia Martinez received updates from battles across the galaxy. She stood in the command center, surrounded by screens showing the progress of Protocol Thunderstorm. "New Hope Colony is secure," reported a communications officer. "Colonel Harper reports all colonists safely recovered." "The Proxima system is under our control," said another. "Confederation forces are retreating." "And Arcturus?" Martins asked. "Commander Bennett reports the battle is proceeding as planned. The Confederation fleet is in disarray." Martinez nodded. "Send the message to all human ships. Phase 2 begins now." Throughout the galaxy, human commanders received new orders. Their mission was no longer just to defend and disable. Now they would push into Confederation territory. In the Arcturus system, Nicole received the new orders and gathered her officers. "We're moving to Phase 2, she told them. "Our target is the Confederation Regional Headquarters on Arcturus 4. Their headquarters has planetary shields," her tactical officer warned. "Our ships can't get through them." Nicole smiled. "We don't need to. We have something better." She turned to a quiet man standing at the back of the room. Major Greg Foster had barely spoken since the battle began. His team of Special Forces operatives waited in the ship's hold, checking their gear. "Major, your team is cleared to deploy," Nicole said. "Get on the ground and disable those shields." Greg nodded. "My people are ready." The Confederation has never seen Earth's special forces in action. His team boarded a small stealth dropship. Unlike regular military craft, this one was designed to slip through planetary defenses by mimicking natural space debris. As they launched toward the planet, Greg addressed his team. The Confederation thinks they understand humans now. He told the men and women prepared for the most dangerous mission of Protocol Thunderstorm. They've seen our ships. They've seen our regular troops. But they haven't seen us yet. The dropship descended toward Arcturus 4, carrying 12 of the most dangerous humans in the galaxy. The Confederation was about to learn what Deathworlders could really do. Supreme Commander Zelvix received the reports from Arcturus with growing dread. The humans weren't just fighting back. They were winning. The Grand Council chamber of the Galactic Confederation had never been so quiet. Representatives from 27 alien species sat in stunned silence as reports continued to arrive. 17 key systems lost to human forces. Communication networks disabled. Defense fleets scattered or captured. How could this happen? Asked the Quarthy representative, his delicate fingers trembling. The humans were so few, so new to space travel. High Commander Zrixel, his blue skin now pale gray with stress, had no good answer. We underestimated them. You did more than underestimate them, hissed the Griklar ambassador. You provoked them. You took their people and treated them like lab specimens. The chamber erupted in angry voices, each species blaming the others for the disaster. Their once mighty confederation was falling apart after just 2 weeks of human offensive operations. A loud tone silenced the room. On the main communication screen appeared a human face, Ambassador Daniel White. His expression was calm but determined. Representatives of the Galactic Confederation, he said, I speak on behalf of the United Planetary Government of Earth and all human colonies. The aliens stared in silence at the creature from a death world, the representative of a species they had so badly misjudged. For centuries, your confederation has explored the stars believing yourselves to be the most advanced civilization in the galaxy, Daniel continued. You categorized worlds by their gravity, atmosphere, and dangers. You labeled Earth a death world because its conditions would kill most of your species. He leaned closer to the camera. What you fail to understand is what that meant about us, the people who not only survived on such a world, but thrived there. We offered you friendship. We showed you respect. When you responded with fear and captivity, we gave you warnings. You ignored them all. The Quarthy representative stood. Ambassador, please, there must be a way to end this conflict. Daniel nodded. There is. The Confederation will immediately release all human captives. You will withdraw from all human colonies. You will acknowledge Earth's sovereignty and our right to govern our own affairs without interference. You're demanding our surrender, said Zrixel. I'm offering you peace, Daniel corrected. The alternative is that we continue to demonstrate exactly why creatures from a death world should not be provoked. The council chamber fell silent again. The choice was clear. 3 days later, Lisa Green watched as the last Confederation ships left orbit around New Hope Colony. Beside her stood Colonel Frank Harper, his uniform dusty from 2 weeks of ground operations. Do you think they've learned their lesson? Lisa asked. Frank looked up at the sky where the alien ships were becoming tiny dots. They're learning. The question is whether they'll remember. On the edge of the settlement, children were playing. These were the same children who had been subjected to Confederation tests just weeks ago. Now they ran and laughed, their natural human resilience helping them recover from the ordeal. They will remember, Lisa said, watching the children. The Confederation will tell stories about us for generations. In the Confederation's capital city, a very different scene was unfolding. The Records Hall, a vast library containing the collected knowledge of 27 spacefaring species, was being updated with new information about humans. A Quarthy historian carefully added the latest reports and analysis. The files on humans had been embarrassingly wrong before. They had classified humans as diplomatic but primitive, physically robust, but technologically limited, and potentially valuable research subjects. The new classification read simply, "Approach with utmost respect and caution. Evolved on a Class 12 death world. Physical capabilities previously underestimated by 70%. Technological adaptation rate unmatched in Confederation records. Peaceful unless provoked." The historian added one final note. The term "being nice," when used by humans, should not be interpreted as weakness, but as a choice. The consequences of forcing humans to make a different choice were demonstrated in the 17 system conflict. On Earth, General Olivia Martinez and Admiral Susan Clark stood in front of the President in the Oval Office. "Protocol Thunderstorm has succeeded beyond our expectations," Martins reported. "The Confederation has agreed to all our terms." The President nodded. "And our people?" "All recovered," Susan said. "The colonists from New Hope are safe, though many will need time to heal from their ordeal." "What happens now?" the President asked. Olivia Martinez looked out the window at the peaceful Earth sky. "Now the real work begins. The galaxy knows what happens when humans stop being nice. Our job is to show them why we prefer peace in the first place." 5 years had passed since the day humans stopped being nice. The galaxy was a different place now. Captain Michelle Rodriguez stood on the bridge of her ship, the Unity, looking out at the stars. This was not a warship but a peacekeeping vessel with a mixed crew of humans and aliens from 6 different species. "Status report," Michelle requested. "All systems normal, Captain," replied her first officer, a Quarthi named Elrin. Once enemies, the Quarthi were now among the closest allies of humanity. "The delegation from New Arcturus will arrive in 2 hours," added Lieutenant Steve Dixon. "Their ship just entered the system." Michelle nodded. "Prepare the meeting room. This treaty is important for everyone." The Unity was patrolling the edge of what was now called the Terran Protection Zone, a region of space encompassing Earth, its colonies, and several formerly Confederation worlds that had requested human protection after the war. In the 5 years since Protocol Thunderstorm, humans had established themselves as a major power in the galaxy, not through conquest, but through a careful balance of strength and diplomacy. The Confederation had fractured, with many species choosing to ally with humans instead. "Captain," called Communications Officer Diane Kelly. "Admiral Clark is calling from Earth Command." Michelle moved to her private office to take the call. Susan Clark's face appeared on the screen, her hair now more gray than black. "Captain Rodriguez," Susan greeted her. "How are things on the frontier?" "Peaceful, Admiral," Michelle replied. "The border disputes between the Quarthi and Grickler have stopped since we started patrolling the region." Susan nodded. "Good. The President wants regular updates on the treaty negotiations. The Arcturus Agreement could be a model for the rest of the former Confederation territory." "I understand," Michelle said. "We'll make it work." After the call ended, Michelle walked through the ship. Unlike the military vessels of 5 years ago, the Unity was designed for cooperation. The corridors were built to accommodate beings of different sizes and atmospheric needs. The crew quarters had gravity controls that could be adjusted for comfort. In the ship's dining hall, Michelle paused to watch humans and aliens eating together, talking and even laughing. A young Grickler was trying to learn how to use a fork, his clawed hands struggling with the small utensil. A human crew member was patiently showing him how to hold it. "Amazing, isn't it?" said Dr. Alan Carter, now the ship's science officer. 5 years ago, we were at war." Michelle nodded. "They underestimated us. Now they respect us." In a classroom on the Confederation homeworld, young alien children gathered around their teacher. Today's history lesson was about the 17 system conflict. "Can anyone tell me what we learned from the humans?" the teacher asked. A small blue-skinned child raised her hand. "That Deathworlders are dangerous." "Yes," the teacher said, "but more importantly, we learned that being different doesn't mean being enemies. Humans evolved on a world we could not survive on. Their bodies and minds developed to handle dangers we never faced. This made them stronger in ways we couldn't understand. Another child spoke up. My parent says humans could have destroyed the Confederation if they wanted to. The teacher nodded. They could have. But when they won, they offered peace instead. That is perhaps the most important lesson of all. On Earth, in the rebuilt United Planetary Government headquarters, Jack Morris sat across from High Commander Zrixel. 5 years had changed them both. Jack had new lines on his face. Zrixel's blue skin had darkened with age. The anniversary approaches, Zrixel said quietly. 5 years since your people taught mine a painful lesson.